Hello, and welcome to this video. I did a video of my thoughts on Call of Duty and Battlefield, like a big hole between the two, and now I'm doing one for each. We'll have Call of Duty on this one, and then Battlefield on another one. And first off, I apparently wasn't coming enough to the E3 because I was going better that and also stuff, but apparently Call of Duty, the private beta, does have a release date. It begins 8/25, so that'd be August the 25th. August the 25th. On PlayStation 4, beta on other platforms to follow, so who knows when that'll be. But that's near the end of August, and at the videos it shows, the game comes out November the 3rd, so they will have within the next 2 months to do an open beta. And this is a little kind of like a cringe thing to me, because again, like I said, two things you want to do. Reasons why you want to have an open beta. One, you want to get your game out to consumers to really test it out to see if they want to buy it. Really give it out to more of the people, to more of the masses, so that way you have more of a chance for someone to buy your product. And two, you want to test your servers. Being if you're a high, big game that would have a lot of people trafficking onto your server, online shit, whatever you want to say, especially on day one. Get your servers ready and up to code, so they can handle all the traffic. But all we know, like I said, is about the private beta, and hopefully there will be a month after release of the private beta for them to have an open beta. Because if it's any longer than that, and it's, like I said, many of people said, like, if you're like a couple of days, a few weeks away, like 3-4 weeks away from your game's release, and you're having a beta, it's not really a beta. You want to have your beta a good while before the game comes out. That way you can really make sure everything's good. There are no bugs, no glitches, no probability of your servers crashing. You have your consumers having good load times and not dropping out and everything. The connectivity and everything works good. And sometimes we won't have that, kind of time between, like even a month or less from your release to be able to ensure that. I mean, as I stated a long time ago about Grand Theft Auto and their GTA 5 Online, which had a big snafu, they should have had a beta. Possibly even a private beta, but a beta alone. And they would have avoided that huge snafu where people pretty much for the first month, even a bit longer, couldn't play the game because you had to go through this tutorial, and before you can do anything, and a lot of people like me couldn't keep their character in existence. It's like every time you go to that game, you try to finish the tutorial, but you couldn't, and every time you go back in, you have to create a character again. So yes, big snafu on them. So, betas help. They really do help. If they're gonna have any chance to ensure that shit doesn't happen to Red Dead Redemption 2, they should have a beta. Now, like I said, hopefully they won't just have the private beta. They'll have an open beta. It's assumed they will, but they haven't announced it. They only have announced this private beta. And the only way to get to the private beta, to get access to their private beta, you have to pre-order it. You have to pre-order the game. So they're pretty much forcing consumers to buy the game to play the beta, which is retarded. It's understandable, like kind of how Destiny's doing it. If you want early access to the beta, you get longer time and more gameplay in the beta if you pre-order games. That's smart. But here is a private beta, and if it's the only beta, as I said, it is the dumbest shit. You pretty much have to buy the game to play the beta, and that's not how betas work. Not at all. So again, most likely they're going to have an open beta. I am hopeful for this, but they need to have it soon after the private beta, because that is pretty much going to be done by the 2-month mark from the release of the game. So within that month time after the private beta ends, they need to have the open beta. Now we're going to have this. And like I said, hopefully, again, they will have an open beta. But it's only assumed at this point, because people say, well, they've always had an open beta. And I'll say again, as I said in my other video, Call of Duty always didn't have a beta. An open beta, that is. they actually had only, at some points in the early days, a private beta, because betas weren't much of a big thing back in the day. So when it was Call of Duty 4 and possibly even World at War, I think Modern Warfare 2 is when they actually started having the open betas. But before then, you had to sign up and be eligible to play the beta. I was able to play the Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare beta. A lot of my friends didn't, but then World at War happened, and a lot more people were acceptable in that beta, but they found out more and more and more. You need to have more of an open beta to really get kinks and everything worked out. But under other aspects, I think they can improve upon Call of Duty. One thing is with the zombies. There's a few things they can tweak about the zombies, and one person stated this, and I agreed with them as I was thinking it before they said it. Kind of thing is, one, when it comes to guns in the mystery box, don't have the fuckers that are on the walls. That is just idiotic. That's just too much placement of weaponry in the box. You're trying to get a better chance of getting other weapons, and I mean, there's times where I've gotten the same weapon that's not on the wall just so frequently. It's just the random number generator for the mystery box is fucking stupid sometimes. Seriously. Especially like that whole thing they say is like, why the fuck do they have like the bazookas or grenade launchers in this fucking box? Nobody likes it when they get that shit. Nobody. If you want to do one thing at least, remove that crap. Nobody ever saw like this an RPG come up and say, yay, I got the RPG, because you want to last as long as fucking possible, and an RPG ain't gonna help your ass. That's pretty much the developers giving you a big motherfucking finger in the fucking face. Just idiotic. Seriously. But for the most part, as I said, remove guns that are on the walls on the map, because I've got the Zombie Chronicles things on Black Ops 3, and there will probably be a variety of different weapons per map on the walls. And it's just like, don't have any of those weapons that are on the walls in the box. It's just idiotic. It's just 100% fucking idiotic. Another thing I think they could do, it would be kind of a smart idea, be interesting to see for the mystery box skin, is have a second option. Because you go up to, you hit X, spend $9.50 to get a mystery weapon. But what if they had an option where you would pay double of $9.50, and instead of it just randomizing what weapon you get, it just circles through the weapons, kind of a bit of slower pace than you see when it starts coming up, and you try to get the weapon as soon as possible. It's like it's a timing thing. It's like it's not too slow, so they ensured you get the weapon, but it's not too fast, so it's impossible. There should be, of course, a chance, but I think it would be nice to see that too. Like you hold X for like 3 seconds, probably a good amount of time, and it'll spin you double the points, because it'll just cycle through it all, and then hopefully you can click X again and get the weapon you want. I think that'd be an interesting concept. And hopefully, with this new Zombies games, the one thing I think they'd be nice for them to continue with, which is kind of a cool thing, conceptual-wise, which I like about Black Ops 3. I talked a little too fast there. The thing I like about Black Ops 3 is the Gobblegum. It's an interesting concept in which they added into it. I thought it was a interesting, good idea that really, I think, works well. I think like that, and with the whole, you earn these like little files, and like to unlock Gobblegum, you have to use them. Use one, and you through the selection of these three, it'll randomly pick one. If you use two, you get two. If you use three, you get three. But I thought it was a good idea. It's a good conceptual idea. So I think they should hopefully continue that into this new game of Call of Duty. Excuse me. Not to mention, I hope they have good content too. Good lasting content, because that's the one thing that kind of Battlefield 1 I think really didn't do well on when they released the game, since there was a huge time between the release of the game and the first DLC, even if you wanted to buy the first DLC, that is, because it's still, like I said in my previous video, the first company, be it for Call of Duty Battlefield, one of the big ones, once they stopped doing that whole putting all these maps and weapons behind a paywall, once they, go into the formula that way, kind of like Ubisoft is doing for Rainbow Six Siege and For Honor and whatnot, and other companies kind of doing. Once you stop doing that shit, even Rockstar, Rockstar I think was the leading one of it. People would argue with it. They may have done it because of how, the snafu happened in the beginning. It's hard to say if it was the snafu that made them change things up, or if it was the whole concept they had. They were going to have all their DLC free, but I digress, Hopefully, soon one of these companies, like if World War II here does it, if not, if the next Battlefield does it, like they're gonna get the major consumer. Of course, then again, next Battlefield might not come out until after even the next Call of Duty. We'll see about that, because they might change up their plans about that whole season pass of it. It shows it's not gonna work here with this Call of Duty, as well as being shown how well it works to not have it with Battlefront, which is doing it. And of course, there's rumorly speculated that with Battlefield 1, it'll be the last time they have this whole conceptual aspects, because they're seeing how it is working with Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto 5, and how Ubisoft's having good success with it on kind of the way they're doing it with, For Honor and Rainbow Six Siege. So we'll see. Another thing is, actually, before I move on to the next point, as I was saying before, about the whole content thing. So, kind of went past my point there. They need to have a good variety of content. Now, the curiosity is, what are they going to have to really motivate you to stay outside of just the main gameplay you've seen? Because you need long-lasting content. Because the one thing, as I said about Battlefield, was that kind of dipped when its release and the first DLC was it didn't have that much content to it. Kind of the way Battlefront was as well, the first Star Wars Battlefront. There wasn't much good major content there to keep you invested. And as I said, both those kind of are going diminishing in numbers of players concurrently from their whole paywall of shit. But it was beyond that. As I said, it was the base game doesn't have that much content to keep players in. Because, there's a lot of stuff here, like with Call of Duty Black Ops 3, and with some of the other Call of Duties. Like, the base game is still pretty fun when you have just the regular multiplayer, or say the co-op aspects, which is what people like most of these past ones, being zombies. That's where they're really sticking with these Call of Duty games. They have something where to keep them there that's not just the whole drudge of getting your ass kicked or trying to kick ass in multiplayer. You have these nice co-op-esque things to really hold you over, and with Battlefield, they don't really have anything like that. They have their multiplayer and they have the single player, and that's it, really. Supposedly they were bringing in some competitive, which apparently has been happened in previous Battlefields, which I don't remember. There being really much of a competitive aspects to it. Might be wrong there. I'm not saying I am, but I just never remember there being such a thing like in Battlefield 4. It was kind of some possible way in that with Hardline, with the way they had some of their modes. Like there was the modes where it's like you have to capture cash or whatever, and you only have one life. Or it's not cash, it was hostages. That's what it was. It was hostages. You have a group holding hostages, and you have this cop group who's trying to extract the hostages, and each side only has a single life, which that was probably more of a competitive aspect to it, but there's nothing majorly like that in Battlefield 1 at least. But there's nothing like that really much either in Call of Duty. There's not really much of a major competitive outside just playing the regular multiplayer like you would in Battlefield. But at least with them, they have a side thing that they really hold a lot of the consumers over that they like, which is the zombies. And I think that's what Battlefield needs to do. They need to kind of adapt that. But this is about Call of Duty, so I just feel that they're doing okay, but they're still dipping numbers each year. Each year they keep not making as much as they had previously. Now, people will say it's because it was all the space stuff, which was kind of the reason why. Is because everybody knows Call of Duty originally before that is just really good, tight gameplay, and there's just the one thing I think that's the reason why people hate that. People would say that's good about Titanfall, which I think is odd is it's overly chaotic. That's what the whole issue was like being able to being killed from any position that you couldn't even think of. Is that with Call of Duty with the jetpacks and shit, it was overly chaotic, and not to mention like there were some times like with the jetpacks you can like boost off around areas like real quick, and if you're seen by another player, you can easily quickly dodge out of the way of gunfire and possibly take them. It's not the way it's always been in Call of Duty. It's like you see a player, you shoot their ass, you usually get the kill. Not always, but usually. And that was one of the upsetting things about the way Call of Duty went. It was just like usually when you're in a firefight and you have the upper hand, usually you're the victor. But when it came to having all these jetpacks and just boosters and whatnot, it was too chaotic of finding out who could be the victor there. And that's kind of the reason why I think Titanfall is okay, but it's still not that great of a game because it's overly chaotic. Some people might find fun in that, good for them, but that's not me. I just can't stand the whole overly chaotic things of being able to be killed from so many directions that I can't even think of to where to fucking look to shoot somebody. Because a lot of times you're just looking off to your left to shoot somebody and you're like shot up from like 500 feet away, like up in a tower somewhere. So it's like, or it's like you're aiming left here to 5 feet away and somebody like jumping up the sky off their fucking Titans, kicking your ass. It's just like, it's overly chaotic, and I'm not like into games like that. I'm just not into the whole things that are too overly chaotic. There's some fun and chaos that which Battlefield and Call of Duty have, the way that which Call of Duty was, but it wasn't always overly chaotic, in which it was what it became. And a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't dying from areas that they can't even think of to consider to watch out for, being that there's pretty much impossible to look in every fucking direction to ensure your ass is safe. That's why games like the space shooting of Call of Duty and Titanfall aren't doing so great. It's just like a lot of people don't want to play those games where they have to think of every direction to fucking look to ensure they're not getting shot, not just areas of the covering of ground or buildings. You have to think of everywhere in the fucking sky and to worry about fucking players to kill you. But hopefully, we'll see how well it does with this Call of Duty. Hopefully it's good enough for people to really enjoy and bring back themselves, but we'll see if it doesn't dip as it has been in these previous years. Because two things really I think they need to do. For one, which everybody has said so many times, they have yet to fucking do. Or at least say that they're doing. Because they might have done it. I'm not sure with this game. We'll see. But one thing they have yet to do is really update their graphical engine. Because it looks beautiful here with the newest one cinematically, but that's outside the aspects of which people are really referring to the graphical aspects of it. And they were talking more about the gameplay graphics. It's almost kind of it's been the same since the original Call of Duty with patches here and there on the same engine. They haven't really created like a new greater version of the engine in which Call of Duty runs off of. Unless they have possibly have started with this newest Call of Duty on a newer engine of an engine that always exists, like possibly Unreal or Frostbite. I doubt Frostbite since it's EA shit. But it's possible they could have done it off for Unreal. But we'll see. And another thing is like they did innovate the first person shooter kind of the way in which they did with the original Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and it'd be nice to see them try to do it again, because I think that's the thing that most people were hoping for when they were talking about change, not the way they got it with the whole jetpacks and shit. People wanted change, but they wanted to change in a way that they kind of did it with Call of Duty 4. They really rejuvenated the first-person shooter genre the way they did with Call of Duty 4. But they haven't done it really since. Outside of when, World of War came out the next year with zombies. But outside of those two games, they haven't really too much reinvented the game as they did back then. And that's what people I think were hoping for before, they had the whole jetpacks and shit and kind of were let down. They were hoping for change, but they didn't like the change that they got. And we'll see if it's not too similar to the ways in which it was previously, because they have stated that they have like this new mode that a lot of people are excited about, but it makes me think of, again, a bit of a copy. Like, you know, the whole memes like, hey, can I copy your homework? Fine, but change it up a bit. And that's what I feel Call of Duty's done with their new mode, Warzone or whatever it is. They've kind of copied Battlefield with Rush, but changed it up enough to where it's not too similar. People will probably give me flack for that shit, but you gotta admit, it's kind of like Rush. It is. Because you have a... But of course, Rush is probably a copy of something else. I'm not saying that they haven't copied it from something else, but Call of Duty kind of copied what they did. And that is, you have a variety of different defending points, and the attacking team first has to finish the first one, and if they complete it, the defending team gets pushed back to the next one, and so on and so forth. Where this one, they have it, instead of it being like the way they have it in Battlefield with their two different modes, I can't remember what the other one is, that's kind of like Rush meets Conquest. But it's pretty much, you know, you have to take 2 flags and push back. It's kind of what they had in, Battlefront. Kind of they had that thing in Battlefront where you had to take like 2 or 3 flags and push the enemy back. People thought that was probably a new mode in Battlefield 1. It's like, yeah, this is a new awesome mode. It's not. It was a copy of the Battlefield game where they kind of had it there. They did. I'm sorry to upset you, but you remember there was a mode like that in Battlefront. They might have like started doing it and working it and giving the ideas out to them or not. Who knows? They might have had like concurrently the same idea at the same time. It's possible. It is possible. Kind of the way you see here with Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty World War II. They both probably had the same idea, and people were saying, well, Call of Duty's copied Battlefield. Kinda yes, kinda no. Being that, you know, they probably had the same idea kind of going at the same time. It's like, well, this is probably the direction we should go into, because next year's thing, you know, Infinite Warfare might not work, so let's just try this and see. Yeah. But, you know, it's possible to have the same idea and like different parts of the world and stuff and doing shit. You know, people tend to forget that, you know. Just because you have an idea in your head doesn't mean you're singly the person who ever thought that up. There's a possibility of somebody always, you know, how there are how many people there are in the world, just so many billions of people. It is highly probable for 2 people to have the same thought in 2 different parts of the world. But yes, this we're on a hell of a rant here. There's my thoughts and opinion, pretty much, of stuff about Call of Duty and how to possibly improve things and change the ups and kind of how things were and could be, possibly. But we'll see. Like I said, these were mainly just my opinions. Not everything was factual. Some things were, like I said, about the whole them not always having a beta, or an open one at least. But in the end, it is what it is. That's my opinion. And people are okay to have their opinions, be it if they agree with it or not. You know, people have an opinion of what they like of music and movies, and people say, well, that's just stupid, but it's not really. It's their opinion. It's the way they like things, you know. Just because you don't like them doesn't mean it's wrong or it's stupid. It just means you don't like it. But I thank you for watching. I hope you're informed. I hope you're in a... Okay. Sorry, speaking there a little too fast. Kind of hurt my throat. I hope you're into... can't speak. Going tongue dead or whatever. I hope you're informed. I hope you're entertained. And I hope you have a rock'em sock'em day. A peace.